Hello. Welcome. Hope you're having a wonderful day so far. We are back. Wow, we are back. I want to code a little bit. This is the after hours session. Let's go ahead and get the chat loaded up. All right. Chat go. There we go. All right. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a wonderful day, wonderful evening. This is After Hours. Just gonna be working on the project here. Let's go bring up. Let's do this. Okay, let's bring up the whiteboard. So I want to do some debugging here on our project. So let's think here. Okay. So, hey Mahan. How's it going? Welcome back in. Okay, let's see here. We have annual gross revenue. Okay. We have, all right, annual net revenue. Okay. We have annual gross expenses. Annual gross expenses that are categorized. Annual gross expenses that are method-based, right? So these are currently our 5 statistics that we're tracking. Dude, no way. Is your professor gonna let you submit it? That's seems like kind of cruel. Right, so these are our current statistics, right? So we have in here, we can add an item. Right? So what happens when you add an item? Okay, if I add an item, does my annual gross revenue, okay, whatever. Should we do it one at a time? Yeah, okay. When I add an item, what does my annual gross revenue do? No, hold on. Whoops. Delete this. We gotta go put this above. Right. Like so. Okay. So when I add an item, my annual gross revenue doesn't go up. Right? This just adds it to the inventory. Meaning that the annual, so nothing happens. The annual net revenue then, nothing happens there either. No. The annual net revenue would go down, right? Because the annual net revenue would go down because we are generating an expense for this item, right? Meaning that our expenses goes up, lowering our net. Okay, so then our expense goes up. Our expense category then goes up. And our expense method then goes up. Okay. Perfect. So then what happens when let's go into the menu, let's go to find edit item. Item number, so we'll do item number 1. Okay, so we don't even have any items in here. Okay. So let's go back. Inventory, add item. Okay. So let's see here. If we add an item, does that happen? Now let's verify. Let's add an item. Today's date, yes. Name, test, add. Cost, let's say this was $100, just to have it be even. Item size, let's just say it's medium. Quantity, we have one of these. Okay, so in our business.json, we should see annual gross expenses go up, annual gross category expenses go up, and annual gross methods go up. And we should also technically see our annual net revenue decrease into the negative. Mahan says, I have no idea my .tex file got uploaded though. They could just compile it themselves and get the PDF, but at this point, my only mic is my op. Also, uni it's over. I'm not your op. What are you talking about? You're using Toronto language. You've been in Toronto too long, Mahan. No, I would just email your professor the PDF. Like, that's what I would do. Honestly, they're a lot more understanding, like, than you think, for adults at least. Now, some professors are also crazy, but I would just shoot them an email and be like, yo, this didn't get included for some reason in my file upload, my PDF. Here it is. I'd also send it to the TA, leave it at that, and then see what happens. And then if you get the marks, then be like, hey, I sent you an email, a little bit, reference that email and go up to them in person. Then be like, hey, I sent you an email, if you can reference back. I don't think it uploaded. And then, they'll probably be understanding. Darko, hey dude. Michael, I really like what you're doing and the progress that you're achieving. And my question is, what is your goal and do you like to be a programmer? Wish you best of luck. Hey Darko, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you so much. You're awesome, man. I'm really just learning for fun. So whatever happens, happens. I'm trying not to put a lot of pressure on things because I feel like that's the current trend is a lot of people like really, really put pressure on themselves to achieve like star programmer status at FANG, whatever, in a certain amount of time, and then when they don't accomplish those goals, they lose passion, burn out, and it can be pretty depressing, and for them on that level. So I'm really trying to just remove all that because I'm wanting my passion for the actual subject matter to ring through rather than my passion for a paycheck, because I don't get paid. YouTube pays me pennies for streaming, literally pennies. So I just I'm doing this because I purely enjoy learning computer science. I'm not getting a degree in it. I'm not in college in it. So really, this investment is just purely, um, like it's like it's like a gamble in a sense, but it's just like, um, not a gamble really for me because, uh, I think about it like, what else would I be doing, right? Really, I have a job, so after my 9 to 5 job, I could come home and play video games and go out to eat and, um, hang out with friends and stuff and do that over and over again. But at the end of the day, where really would that get me? Like, would I be growing individually? Yeah, maybe socially, I would have a bigger social circle, but me on a personal level, I've never had a large social circle. It's just always kind of been who I am. I've been a very independent person and, kind of a little bit socially anxious. So I prefer to honestly be alone as I am here in my 1 bedroom apartment. Um, and you know, it's it's just kind of who I am and what I don't know. Everybody's different, but I'm really just trying to let my passion for learning this come through. So like I was saying, like I could be sitting at home playing video games after work, or I could be I could be developing passions for like cooking or whatever. But it's really no different. I just choose to do this because I feel like it might bring me some additional skills in the future. Whereas, the other time, things I could be like get better at cooking or video games, or yeah, they might bring some joy and maybe think, but in terms of time investment, I think, I'm all about like ROI. I'm kind of a geek on, it's where I spend my time. So I, I really don't like cooking because I think it's, some people might, I personally, I think it's, for me personally, like a waste of time. I'm not good at it, so I can just, and the amount of time I spent cooking and cleaning, kind of equates to about the same amount of money I get paid like per hour, like if you think about it that way. So like actually like less. So it's kind of like a bad investment for me to spend 2 hours cooking and cleaning when I could spend 2 hours streaming and learning to code on the sense that I I'd rather get just takeout, but then at the end of the day, I may not be getting the best quality of food. So it's always trade-offs and everything. Ramble. We don't have to talk about that. What do you guys think? You have any interest in game dev? I like Roblox game dev. It uses Lua for code. Yeah, some people have been suggesting that I should like make like a snake game. I thought it would be fun to do like a hackathon, like on the stream, where we spend an entire Saturday building and learning how to build like a snake game from start to scratch. And maybe we, open it up to the Discord and we like stream it, in the Discord as well, so that we can do it alongside other people and be like, okay, we all have, 6 hours here to try to build a snake game. Let's all start now and go together and see what we can build, and like we can make it like a giant collaborative thing, or I think it'd be fun. It's marked, meaning we submitted like 1 month ago, but yeah, if it was just 1 hour after due, I would be fine. You remember the days I worked 50 hours to finish a project? This is that. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, you've been grinding these projects. I would still shoot it over. Okay, so let's add this and see what happens. Okay, so let's go to the main menu and let's see what happens. Okay, so when I add the item, going back to the main menu doesn't do anything. Okay, so when I add the item, right, so nothing happens for annual gross revenue, so check. So let me change my color up here. Let's go to, I should have done green, but okay, so let's do check. Okay, so that is working. So nothing happens for annual gross revenue. Annual net revenue does not go into the negative. So this is not working appropriately. So we'll say no neg, right? No negative. Well, okay, right? So let's grab a sticky note. Where are you? Here we go. Number one, annual net revenue does not allow for negative value when adding item if negative, right, via its expense creation on ad. Okay, right? So annual net revenue does not allow for negative value when adding an item via its expense creation on initial ad, if no other items or in general. Okay, so we'll put a note down here and say if fresh, right? If fresh run. So like no other item, so everything else is zeroed. Okay, so next, let me grab that sticky, let's float that boy on top. Okay, so next, I'm learning front-end development, and if you want to do some projects and learn more about HTML, CSS, Git, Bootstrap, and JavaScript, we can work on projects together. I'm also learning JavaScript right now, so if you want to do some projects with me, that'll be fun. Yeah, for sure, man. Mahan knows I'm pretty flaky after the streams, just because at that point I've done like I worked at my normal like 8-hour shift. I have to commute about an hour each way, so 2 hours total, so that's 10 hours, and then I stream for like 3 hours after that, so that's like 12 hours right there. So I get pretty difficult to book me after the streams. So, but I want to set up like actual like scheduled, collaboration sessions with you, Mahan, other people from the Discord when I'm actually doing the streams. I think that'll be a lot easier to manage, at least time wise, just because if I start dipping into like the 15-hour mark after that, my brain is just done for, and I gotta go to sleep. Yeah, Mahan knows what I'm talking about. I've bailed on like 10 sessions, like just like one-on-one study sessions, just because I've been like after the stream, I'm like, dude, I can't, like, I'm sorry, I'm on hour like, 15 right now. I'm burnt. Like I gotta just veg out on the couch for an hour while watching The Crown and go to bed. That's what I do after the streams. Is I go watch The Crown on Netflix. That's what I'm watching right now. I don't know why, but I really like like those old English kind of shows. Do you guys? How's the music? Is it okay? Is it too loud or is it too quiet? You want it louder? Okay, so annual gross expenses went up by the amount. Perfect. Okay. This did not happen, and annual gross expenses methods did not happen. Right. So we'll go here, we'll go down, we'll say add item. This is for the add item. I'm finally starting to write out my bugs and stuff. Like, oh, you guys can't see this, my fault. I'm starting to write out my bugs so it's easier for us to solve them. Okay. So then number 2, annual gross expenses categorized. Annual gross expenses categorized does not update on add item. Number 3, annual gross expenses method break categorized does not update on add item. Does not update, we'll say increase on item. Okay. Yeah, I found this playlist on Spotify. He allows for non-copyright stuff. People recommended it, so. Okay. Next. So the methods don't update. Perfect. So then let's try. We'll do this. We'll make a note here and say live run. So this doesn't update live, and then we'll say on start, right? So on start, what happens? Do these update, right? So we'll go exit. Yes. Now we'll relaunch, right? Go to business.json. Do these update, right? On launch. Okay. So one of them did. So here, the on start, the annual gross expense categorized. Actually, we'll say this. We'll say on start, it does update properly. Okay, and then we'll say on start for this one, it does not update properly. Okay, so in both cases, on live and on start, the methods is not updating. Okay, but the expenses here is updating. Okay, so then let's go into the program here. Inventory, find edit item. So here we go. Let's go find edit item. I'm sick. I'm taking a risk here by talking so much. Leave a thumbs up if you guys are here. The stream has been quiet lately. I wonder I think people have been busy. Okay, so live run, right? What happens? Number one. So in the find edit item, let's go back to our whiteboard here. Okay, so we're gonna have in green, find edit item, right? Heavy rock. I'm not playing heavy rock right now. I'm chilling. We're just chilling. I don't really like this song though. All right, let's okay, find edit item. So on annual gross revenue, what should happen on find edit item? So if you pull up an item via item number 1, this is what you have. If I edit the name, nothing happens. If I edit the size, nothing happens. Right? It's not broken down by size. Cost. So if I update the size, does that account for anything? No. Categories. No. Okay, no. So if I update, this one's gonna be a little bit more complicated because there's lots of things that can happen here. If I update the cost of the good, so if I update the cost of the good, so maybe we should go back here and do like this. Find edit item cost. right? So we'll have to break these down a little bit further. So if I edit the cost, the annual gross revenue, nothing happens, right? Because this item, well, no. Annual gross revenue accounts for just the sales purely. So if I edit the cost of this item, nothing should happen to annual gross revenue. But if I edit the cost, the annual net revenue should go down. Or wait, should change, right? Because let's say I increase the cost of the item, right? Which is an expense, like changes the cost of the expense. Oh crap, this is getting a little bit difficult. So if I edit the cost of an item, like you can edit either up or down, the net revenue should go up or down, right? Depending, proportional to what the user did. The annual gross expense for that item based on that cost will go up or down, at the same rate. It'll then follow for the specific category by the same rate, and it'll then follow via its method as well at the same rate. Right. So I don't really think we can test these at the moment, this column at the moment, because we currently don't have this one working properly, which kind of affects all of these other ones. Right. Um, Annual net revenue is not allowing it to go down. Well, what happens if I make this cost less? Let's go ahead and edit the cost, 3. Let's make it cost 50 rather than 100. Will it now go into the negative? Go back to main menu. Main menu. Exit. Yes. Let's run. Enter. And that's not even working now. Hey Elijah, how's it going? We've been building this project for a while. It's a small business manager. We're currently ironing out some bugs that we have going on with our statistics tracking. So we definitely we're trying to work through some stuff. So when I edit the item's cost, what's happening? This is working appropriately. So this is doing its job. The net revenue, we don't know yet because we haven't been able to debug this. Let's resolve that bug. We know the annual gross revenue expenses is not working. Right, it's not going down. the categorized is also not working, and the methods well, we can't really tell based on this, right? And then in this one, we can't really tell as well based on this. But I kind of can infer that they're not working. So we need to, at this point, I think, so let's make some notes. So annual net revenue, functionality, annual rent, no, unknown due to add item not working, probably, assume not working, right? 2, the annual gross revenue or annual gross expenses not adjusting up or down for item cost change. Okay? Annual gross expenses categorized, not adjusting up or down. And same with annual gross expenses methods, not adjusting up or down. Okay, so we've got a good list here. What you been working on, Elijah? I stream every single day, so feel free to follow along. I'd love to work with you and network in the future. What's your experience here, Elijah? Okay, so let's see here. Let's go ahead and start doing some debugging here, I guess. So let me bring this over so I need another monitor. And you guys have a good suggestion for a dock for Apple products that can handle multiple monitors? I have a Dell dock right now, but it only can handle one via the software. It's just not super compatible. Okay, so let's think here. One sec. Okay, got my notes there. Bring these over again. Okay, so if I'm in my program here, so on add item, here's my add item. Okay, so let's make some comments here. Get the date created from the user. Get the date created. Date item. Bought or acquired by item bought from the user via the set date created function. Right? So that's what's happening there. Then we get the item name from the user via the set item name function. Okay. So I'm gonna release this to you publicly when it's done. So I want you guys to have comments so you know what's going on here. I know it might seem kind of annoying, but this will also help us to understand what's going on better in our own program. The cost of the good, right? So we're going to get cost of the item via the set item cost function with a prompt of quote item cost. Okay, we are going to get the item size from the user via the set item size function. Okay, and we are going to get the item quantity if duplicate items were bought on the same day via the set item quantity function. Okay, so that's what's going on there. So here, if the user gives a quantity of 1 or larger or greater, an item will be generated with an auto incrementing item number via the set item number function. An item will be generated for each quantity value with an auto increment function. Right. Perfect. So then we go into all items. Okay, so then here. Right. Function. It. Right. It will. So what's happening here is we're loading them into the all items database. Items are loaded into the all items database with their database all items dict database with their with a key equal to the item number converted to a string and the A value equal to item. Equal to a get details, which is a dictionary. Item string any value so we'll say a key equal to item number, the item number converted to a string, and a value equal to the item itself converted to a dictionary converted to a dictionary. Okay. So right here, adding, so we'll just copy that from above and put it right here too, so they know that this is where it's happening, right? So we say, I guess we can just delete this because that's what's happening right below here. So then here, right, if the item has a cost greater than 0, we will, so we need to actually do greater than or equal to 0 here, because we want to generate an expense for this item even if it's 0, so we can still allow the user to go back and edit that expense later on. Because I don't want to have to, if they edit the expense, do a check and then generate an expense. No. I want to just generate an expense no matter what, even if it's 0, and then leave it at that. Well, do I want to do that? Because if I generate an expense that's for an item that's, if I don't do it, then if they go to edit, no, I want to just do it automatically. I think it's just way easier to do it up front. Yeah, it might use more data, but just on the edge cases, it's easier to do it this way, I think. Okay, if the item number is greater than, so we'll say if cost of good then. We don't even need to do this because we always want to generate an expense. It can't be negative. Like the get item cost, you can't provide a negative number no matter what. You can't even provide a blank. You have to give a number back. So we don't even really need to say this. We could just say, we could just generate the expense no matter what. So let's just get rid of this. Bring this back 1. So here we'll say an expense will be generated per item associated with the item cost, right? Proportional to. The item's cost. expense will generate per item associated with the item cost. The expense will be categorized. The expense will be cat as, quote, inventory, a hard-coded and unremovable expense category, right? So the expense will be categorized as inventory, a hard-coded, unremovable expense category. And then we need to think about how to implement a method, a cost method, right? So we need to allow the use, so a method so let's just take this, I guess. We'll delete this part. And we'll put this down here as the note. And then we'll make a note here. Item expense will share same date. Right? That's kind of, we don't need to, it's fine. Need to implement here. So we'll put here on for this for need to implement item expense method selection by user. Okay. So then we'll say here expense note will reference the item number of the item. New expense equals new item expense to dict. Then I'm using it. So I don't even think I need. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, so then expense number auto increments via the set expense number function. We convert it to a dictionary. Right, to dict. So in business.json, in business.py, no, expense.py. Expense class. Right, where's that? To dict. Items. Get details. So maybe we should say to dict here. Right. So we'll put to dict here. So just it says the more easy to. And it's converted to a dictionary. Expenses converted to a dictionary. To a dict. Expense is loaded into the all expenses dictionary database with a key equal to the expense number and a value equal to the expense number and a value equal to the expense dictionary. Okay. And then here. So now we are done with generating new information. We need to, at this point in time, we update annual gross expenses for the new item expense. And we're not updating annual net revenue. So that's why this isn't working. We're not even calling that. So this function right here will updates the annual gross expenses stat found in the business class, the business, and writes it. No. Updates increases for positive item cost, decreases for negative or remains constant, remains the same for 0 item cost. Updates increases for positive item cost or remains 0 for remains the same for 0 item cost. We'll say greater than 0 here. The annual gross revenue, annual gross expenses stat found in the business class, right? business, this one, okay, so now, is this working properly? I'm not sure, so we'll come back, we'll say, now here, this one updates increases or decreases the annual gross expenses by category stat found in the business class, right? And then this function here updates increases for greater than 0 item cost or remains the same. The annual gross expense by methods stat found in the business class. Right? Perfect. So we need to, right in here, we need to add update to annual gross revenue or annual net revenue to decrease for an increased gross expenses. Annual gross revenue remains as no sale took place. Right. So we need to update the annual net revenue to decrease, allow for negative, for an increased gross expenses due to item creation. Greater than 0 item cost. Okay, so we need to add that right there. Okay, these functions here save the all items, all expenses, and business.json and the class to JSON. And the business databases to JSON. We clear out and we run back to inventory. Okay, cool. So that was that function there. A lot happening there for the add item. Okay. So we need to make a note here. There's an update. So on start, why does it update on start then? What happens on start? We just load all the information. All right, we just load business in we say its name is equal to business JSON name given. We load in the file. We say its name is equal to the business JSON. The all items is equal to all items loaded in. Oh, to create the business, right? This is what you need. So settings, inventory settings. It's written from the file. So then on business.py, on load, you call initialize, right, on why the category is working right, but the methods isn't, because we're calling the initialize here, but then in here we're calling the update. Well, we're calling initialize here though, and it's still not working. Hey Charlie, welcome back. Welcome to the late night. Appreciate you joining me here. We're just debugging our project here, adding some descriptions and labeling things. So the on start, it does update properly. Then in here, let's go to initialize categories. Here. So it can either be categories or expenses, annual gross subtype, right? We'll just create the category type is equal to dictionary for every subtype in this, given the type. For expense number and expense in self dot all expenses items. If amount so you load into all expenses. Amount here. You return it. Because we call if category in annual gross sub type expenses. So we get so we load we iterate through all the expenses in all expenses dictionary, breaking apart their expense number and the expense. If the expense has an amount, we save that in a variable, and if it has a year, we extract that out. Category equals expense. We extract out the category. Oh, so that's why the methods isn't working here. Okay, because we're only accounting for categories. So if category is in annual gross subtype expenses, annual gross subtype expenses category year. Get the year. Get the value of that year plus the amount. Return annual gross subtype expenses. So we need to pull out the method. So maybe we should just do both. So you get the category of the expense, but then you say if category of that expense is in the business's list of categories, but what if it's not? So if I generate an item, let's say its category is inventory. So in here, what am I calling in business.py when I load in expense information, annual gross categorized expenses, initialized gross for categories, and for methods. So calling that there. Okay, so then, but why is it not updating? We get the amount. Right, because we're going to that subcategory, which would be the category. Annual gross subtype expenses, which houses the information. We access the category key, so this would be inventory. Go to the year. We get the current value at that year and add it to this new amount. So I don't even think we need to do this. Can we just say plus equals amount? Or it's 0 if there is no value for that year. Well, it's at 0. So if I go to, and I first start the program, I load in an item. There is currently no other. So I don't even think I need this. I can just say plus equal amount. Else, if it's not in there, we're going to do this, but set it just equal to the amount. Okay. So I don't see an opportunity where we would update a category without and not update a method as well, right? So we should probably just tie these together. Right? And then we can get rid of the type altogether. Well, the type helps. Category. If if the type is not in self.expense settings, which is categories, methods, right? You raise a value error. So I could get rid of that and just update it for everything. Okay, we'll say if type underscore is equal to quote categories, lowercase, right? Then we'll do this. Well, right, yeah. elif so actually let's go back. We have this hard coded, so we just should make it dynamic. We have type here, so we should say amount, category, method. So we'll say, we'll get a method. And then we'll say if category so types has to be categories. So if type, so we'll put that here then, right? So we'll say actually do this. We'll say match type case categories, right? Case methods, right, which will be the same thing, right, except if method in annual gross subtype expenses for that type given via methods go to the method at that year and increase the value by the amount, else set that new key value pair for that method year. Right, and then we can return annual gross expense subtype there. So now you can only give a type that's in the expense settings dictionary keys, right? You generate a list you generate a new dictionary based on those subtypes, right? So you have key for every subtype of expense settings. Then you loop through all the expenses. You if there is an amount for that expense, right? Then you extract the amount, the year, the category, and the method. And then you match the given type, which is one of the given subtypes from expense settings. If it's categories, which is hard-coded, if it's method, which is hard-coded, you access those individual dictionaries. Else, right, for case underscore, a catch-all case, if type underscore, we'll paste this here and say if type underscore in here, then do this on type underscore, else type underscore like this here. So I guess we don't even really need all of this, because this will handle the update for whatever create a subtype key for every subtype in there. Annual gross subtype expenses. So creating a new dictionary. We're creating a new dictionary that has keys associated as categories, methods, and whatever else the user adds to track. So for every key in here, yeah, so then I don't even think we need this or this. I'll just back this up there. Oh, hold on. The type was, so now we're not utilizing the category or the method from the specific expense. So what's going on here is that we're updating via the type, which would be categories or methods. Category would be categories. So here, inventory, shipping. for subtype, expense settings type. Oh, so the value is a list of all the subtypes. You have the type of, so the type and then the subtypes. So then that's what this is. So then if you go through the expenses, you get a category and a method. The type would be categories or methods or whatever. And then you create a dictionary for that subtype, for every subtype. So this is going to create a dictionary for all of these values here, inventory dictionary and shipping dictionary, which is right here. Right here, and then you go through the expenses. If the type given, so this would be categories, is in this, then update it. If the type in, so type is categories. What's going on here? So if we iterate through all the expenses in the database. We pull the amount, the year, the category, and the method of every expense. If the type in this which it wasn't. So we don't want to say if type in here, because annual gross subtype expenses will have keys of if we only have methods or categories. So we can't, they're not adding in any other ones. Right, so you only have categories and methods. You're not adding in any other things here. But they can dynamically add these. So that's why we're doing this. So we don't want to check if type is in here. We want to check, because right here is the categories. So the type is equal to if the type is equal to categories, then we're going to, this is tricky. So if the type is equal to categories, so if the case is categories, there will be no other case, right? Because you can only have, we're only allowing for expense information via categories and methods. You can add more methods and more categories, but you can't add more expense settings. That's hard-coded. That's right. That's up to us. So categories, methods. If that category is in, right? That's why we had to do that. Like here. So then there is no catch-all case because we only allow for case of categories and methods via type, because type has to be in expense settings, and expense settings are hard-coded in right here as categories, methods, right? And then the user can add on more of these. Perfect. So now I think if we load via this function here, or in our run right here, right? In business.py we call initialize here for methods. It should actually work and fix that bug here where it's not loading initially. So if we go exit, yes. If we press play here, go to business JSON. Now watch right here. This should update. Oh, no. Key error. If category in if that category in okay, so if the category that they provided category is in here, which it will be in. So we don't need to say that actually, we need to say if year is in this index category. If year is in, then go to that category at that year and increase the amount. Else, go there. If method, if year in here, index methods, for that specific method, then go there at that method. Okay, so now if we run, enter, key error. So now we're getting it on line 75 right here. If year in method key error quote. So why am I getting a key error here of a blank string? Let's go to my item. Let's go to expenses. So the method is blank. So that year is not in here. Else, annual gross subtype expense method year. Why isn't that working then? This should. Right. Let's open up the Almighty. Looks like the key error is caused because the method is an empty string or not set properly. This method is an empty string or invalid key that does not exist. Type is not being processed correctly. So I have this match case here. The key error is happening because method is empty or not set. Is empty. Method might not be getting assigned a value. So if the year is in self.expenses, add that method. So the method right here is pulling a blank string. Then it says if year is in our current expense settings, so we create an empty dictionary. We set key values as the year that the expense occurred on and the amount of that individual expense. This method is not an empty string. Okay, so then let's make this method be one of our methods from above, because I don't think we don't have the ability, we don't have it implemented right now for them to add a method right in the add item. So that's why it's a blank string. So let's mimic in our item, in our method expense class. No, in our business class, they can have these methods right now, test method and test method 2. So let's make the method test method 2 for that expense. Right here. Like that. So now it will correlate to one of our hard-coded ones and be in there. Okay, so like it should be if we had that. Because right in our main program, in our add item, we have this. We need to add it. We need to implement right here for a creation of a new method. Right now it's just setting it to a blank string. So we'll say new method here, just to have that, or sorry, test method. Right. So now let's run. So break out of that. Here we go. Okay, if I run, if I press, let's go to business.py, business JSON I mean, let's see what happens here. Okay. So now if I go to the item, the cost of the good. The expense amount. is 100. So the expense amount is 100, not the item. Okay. Okay, so what I need to do then is in my main full program, when I lessen in the add item function, right? When I edit the item name, or when I edit the item price, I need to call I need to edit the expense associated with that item. Okay. So now though, if I go, let's go to business JSON. If I go inventory, add item, yes. Test item 2. Cost, we'll say this is 555. Item size, medium. Quantity, 1. This should now update this method and this guy here. No, it did update this one, right? So it's not doing it live on initial. But if I go main menu, exit, yes, I click play, I go back to business JSON and press enter here, it'll then update. So why does it update on launch? See, why do these update on initial launch? Right? But this one only updates live. So let's see what's the difference here. So this returns a value back to here. Okay, because we're calling okay, I got you. Because we're calling this but not saving it as anything. So this needs to equal the business equals business dot expense information key annual gross categorized expenses right is equal to the return value of that, and then we'll do the same thing down here, but this will be methods gross methods expenses. Perfect. Like so. So now that'll actually update live. So if I go back into business JSON, if I exit, yes. If I go enter, inventory, add item, yes. Test item 3, make this item 999, size medium, quantity 1. Now this should update live, this should update live, and this should update live. Yes! Yes! Woohoo! Oh no, we got 360 abridged being negative Nelly. People that say programming is dead because of AI actually don't really probably understand programming themselves. Okay. for those that are new here, my name is Michael. I'm 26. I have a degree in human biology and a minor in chemistry, and I've been teaching myself how to code for about 8 months now. Yeah, we're building the small business manager project. We're doing some debugging and work through of what some of our current errors. So we got that fixed. So then when we update an item, so right in our find edit item, when we update, so in our edit item, when we edit an item's cost, we need to update as well so when we get a cost, so when we update the cost, we need to, at this point in time, so this goes back into edit, this goes to inventory menu instead of the find. So back to inventory menu on exit, back to inventory menu. So if we go back to inventory menu, we need to do an update here. So this is where it has to go. So update the, or we have to do it, update the, so here on it, when we get a new cost, we need to also update the expense associated with this item. Ref the expense note for the item number. Coming over a sickness. Sorry guys. So why is that blue? Reference the expense note for expense dot note for the item number, right? And then on the save, update here, we have to note update the expense, the business expense information stats we need to update all of those for the new and potential changes to item price, item cost, and sold price, right? So if the cost or the sold price changes, we have to update the expense. No, so if the cost, the expense changes, but it's the inverse. If the sold price changes, the expenses would remain the same, but the revenues would change. So we'll have to deal with that when we get to it. So update the business expense information stats for the new potential changes to the item cost. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to call it here for you guys. Thank you so much for joining me for this late night chill session. It was really fun just listening to music and hanging and doing some debugging and working on our project. I feel a lot more comfortable after tonight going forward. I really needed to take a good, hour and a half like we did today and just go through and outline what bugs are where during this add item, because the whole thing is our program works accordingly, but we're not tracking the statistics appropriately. We have some data points falling out here and there. So we need to make sure that we're updating when we change relevant information about the items or the expenses thereof associated at those items, or just the expenses individually. We need to then update said expense. So that means if we update an expense cost, right? We have to also think about it like this. If we update an expense, we have to then check if that expense note is associated with an item. And if it is, we have to also update that item's cost as well. So we'll have to keep that in mind too. So there's a couple of kind of edge cases and layers to this we need to work out, but we'll get through that over the next couple of weeks. So my goal here is to get this project done in about 2 weeks time, and then we'll start converting that into a more full stack environment for our final project of Harvard CS50X 2025, which we finished the last week lecture today, week 10. So anyways, thanks so much for joining me for the late night after hour session. I'm going to go to bed. I've been feeling sick lately and I didn't go to work today. Mahan's still debugging his. we're one and the same here. One and the same, my friend. No, you're all good. Don't say that. You'll get it. Um, just what I liked was this really helped me, right? So I did this is I had a chart here. This is the statistics I was tracking, and these were the steps and what should occur, right, for those statistics. And so I was tracking, okay, did no change occur? Yes. Did it properly go down? No. Did it properly go up? Yes, it did. It did not properly shift though, up or down. So I kind of visually tracked the bugs and what should be happening through a chart here, and I think that was pretty helpful as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually save this. Can you save a whiteboard? Export as. Can I save? Um, export. Why can't I export? Hmm. Let me see if I can just Command S. No. Dang. Okay, then I'll just have to screenshot, I guess. Uh, um, Small business manager, debug, graph. Okay. All right, you guys. Leave a like for the after hour stream. I really appreciate you guys joining me here. I'll be back tomorrow 7 p.m. PST around there to continue on. We're probably going to do a lot more working on the project again tomorrow. Continue on with that. I had a lot of fun today. Getting more comfortable with my work here. It really helped to go back through and detail what I wrote in the past via these comments. And I think I'm going to continue doing that for you guys as well, because I'm going to push this to GitHub when it's done, so you guys can also understand what's going on line by line. Anyways, I'll be back tomorrow, so please subscribe, follow along, like the stream. I have a Discord link below where you can get access to all my resources for my projects, notes, books that I read, like you see in the background here, that we read live on stream. And I'll be back tomorrow. See you guys. Thank you. Bye.